The situation took a turn when Cron finally broke her silence, addressing Karissa's recent remarks about the drama unfolding in her family. The accusations had already caused a stir, but Cron wasn't going to let things slide without speaking up. It was clear that Karissa's behavior, particularly her threats and harsh words, was far from reflective of someone who claims to be a child of God. Karlissa had crossed a significant line by publicly accusing Cron's niece of inappropriate behavior, particularly when it came to the situation involving Junior. The video showing Dagar, Cron's niece, in an intimate moment with Junior had already sparked enough controversy, but Karissa's public condemnation of her was the straw that broke the camel's back. The accusation was harsh, unnecessary, and deeply personal, especially given the sensitive nature of the situation. While the video itself was awkward and uncomfortable for many to watch, the way Karlissa chose to handle it was what truly escalated tensions. Cron, ever the one to avoid unnecessary drama, had kept quiet at first. She didn't want to get involved, likely hoping that the situation would blow over and things would return to normal. After all, she had her own life to manage, and the last thing she wanted was to add fuel to the fire. At first, it seemed like the best move, just staying out of the conflict between herself and Karlissa. However, as the public spectacle continued to unfold, it became impossible for Cron to remain on the sidelines. When Karlissa went too far with her accusations, Cron had clearly reached her breaking point. The drama started to spill over into her own family, and that was something Cron couldn't ignore any longer. Karlissa had made it clear that she had no intention of backing down or showing any restraint. With every post and every comment, she continued to escalate the situation, making it more personal and more public. Cron saw this as an attack on her niece, and it was something she couldn't just sit back and watch. The turning point for Cron came when Karlissa not only criticized Dagar's actions but also dragged the entire family into the mess. The attack wasn't just about the video anymore, it was about calling out the entire family's values and behavior. Cron, who had been quietly observing from afar, couldn't let this one slide. Her loyalty to her niece outweighed her desire to stay out of the drama, and she finally spoke up. Cron's response was swift and firm. She didn't shy away from defending her family, making it clear that she wouldn't tolerate the disrespect any longer. In a social media post, she addressed Karlissa directly, pointing out how the public accusations were both unfair and uncalled for. Cron emphasized that the situation was being blown out of proportion, and that her niece deserved support, not condemnation, especially when it came to something as sensitive as the well-being of a child. For Cron, this was no longer just about defending her niece from public scrutiny. It was about standing up for what was right. She called out Karissa's tendency to chase attention and accused her of stirring the pot simply to remain relevant. Cron didn't hold back, reminding Karlissa that her behavior wasn't helping anyone and only served to further escalate an already delicate situation. The confrontation between the two women became inevitable, and Cron made it clear she wasn't backing down. By publicly taking a stand, Cron showed her strength. She wasn't afraid of confronting difficult situations head-on, even when it meant getting involved in messy family drama. For Cron, this was a matter of principle. She couldn't let Karlissa continue to publicly attack her niece without stepping in. She was ready to face whatever backlash would come from defending her family, knowing that her words were necessary to stop the spread of negativity. Ultimately, Cron's response was a reminder of the importance of family loyalty. While the rest of the world seemed eager to weigh in on the drama, Cron wasn't concerned with the opinions of strangers or internet trolls. What mattered to her was protecting her loved ones and putting an end to the public spectacle that Karlissa had stirred up. It was a clear sign that Cron wasn't just a passive bystander in this situation. She was ready to step up and fight for her family, no matter the cost. Instead of engaging in more online back and forth, Cron took a different approach. She decided to let her actions speak louder than words. Things escalated quickly. The tension reached a breaking point when Karlissa, looking disheveled, went online to threaten legal action against Cron and her family. She claimed she would involve the authorities if they didn't stop coming for her. However, before things got to that stage, Cron's niece had already warned Karlissa that the next time they crossed paths, she wouldn't hesitate to handle things physically. But it wasn't just the niece who had had enough. Cron herself had finally stepped into the conversation, making it clear that the situation was far from over. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with the chaos, let me catch you up on the situation that has been unfolding recently. This mess all started just a few days ago when a video went viral, capturing a moment that many considered incredibly inappropriate. In the video, Cron's niece, Dagar Megan now Jr., was seen with her lips too close to a young boy's, and the entire situation crossed clear boundaries. People online were quick to react, some expressing their discomfort, while others quickly jumped in to defend Dagar. Regardless of how you looked at it, the situation was already heated, and it didn't take long for the drama to spill over into social media, igniting a firestorm of opinions. The controversy immediately sparked a heated exchange between Karlissa and Cron's niece. Karlissa, who had already made a name for herself in the drama department, didn't hold back when she offered her harsh opinions about the video. She didn't sugarcoat her feelings, calling out Degar for what she perceived as inappropriate behavior and laying blame for the situation squarely on her shoulders. It was clear that Karlissa had no intentions of keeping quiet about it. In fact, it felt like she saw this as an opportunity to make her voice heard and throw a bit of shade in the process. For Karlissa, this wasn't just about the video. It was a chance to get some attention for herself while adding fuel to the ongoing family drama. Naturally, Cron's niece wasn't having any of it. She quickly made it known that she wasn't going to sit idly by while Karlissa threw jabs at her. As soon as Karlissa's comments hit social media, Degar came right back, ready to defend herself. In a series of fiery posts, Degar didn't hold back, calling Karlissa out for what she saw as unnecessary drama and pointing out that Karlissa had no place to judge her. Degar's response was swift and unapologetic, and it was clear that she wasn't afraid of engaging in a back and forth with Karlissa, even if it meant making things even more public than they already were. The situation quickly escalated as each party continued to trade barbs. It wasn't just a back and forth exchange of words. It quickly turned into a full-blown online battle, with supporters and critics of both sides weighing in. People were torn between who was right and who was wrong, and the comments section of every post turned into a battleground of opinions. As the video continued to circulate, more and more people had something to say, from concerned parents to casual onlookers. Some defended Degar, arguing that she was just caught in a moment of bad judgment, while others sided with Karlissa, claiming that Degar needed to be called out for her actions. But it was the constant need for validation and approval from the public that kept stoking it. People were invested in the drama, and no matter how much they tried to put out the flames, it only seemed to get bigger and more intense. Cron, who had always tried to maintain a sense of calm and control in the face of chaos, found herself at a crossroads. She knew that this drama wasn't just going to fade away. As the family continued to deal with the fallout from the video, it became clear that the wounds were deeper than anyone had realized. This was no longer just about a viral video or a fleeting moment of bad judgment. It was a sign of larger issues at play, ones that couldn't be ignored. And so, as the situation continued to escalate, Cron knew that it was time to step in. She had to find a way to bring the family together, to address the issues head-on, and to put an end to the cycle of drama that had come to define them. But as she prepared to face her family and the fallout from the viral video, she knew that the real challenge wasn't just about defending her niece or managing the chaos online. It was about healing the rifts that had been growing for so long. This was just the beginning of a much bigger journey, one that would take more than just words and apologies to fix. It was going to take a lot of hard work, patience, and understanding to bring everything back together. It's frustrating on so many levels. Anyone can imagine how upset they'd be if someone dared to get that close to their child. Jonathan Border, you've definitely landed yourself in some serious trouble with this one. The tension only escalated when Cron's niece saw what Karlissa had said. Despite being younger, she wasn't going to back down. She hit back hard, letting Karlissa know exactly where she stood, and even warning her that if she didn't keep quiet, she would come for her. Cron's niece made it clear, "That's my baby cousin, the one everyone loves to criticize. I can kiss him if I want, unlike whatever's going on over there. He's loved here, surrounded by family." She threw down a challenge, saying, "Thanks for playing with me, but keep my name out of your mouth, or you'll regret it." She even mentioned how much she wanted her mom to step in and set things straight. You really don't know when to stop, do you? Congratulations, but just know, consequences are on the way. It's about to go down the moment I see you. You think I'm worried about any comments from people who aren't even willing to show up and throw hands? Not at all. I'm not here to argue with anyone who's just online talking tough from behind a screen. And as for Karlissa, well, she's got nothing to offer but drama. That's why I posted that picture of her, bare cheeks out, calling her what she is, a miserable, bitter soul. And don't even get me started on those wigs, Mrs. Top Hatter. I'm really out here having fun with this, while you're busy, running your mouth looking like you're stuck in the past. But Karlissa, of course, couldn't let that slide. She jumped in quick, making it clear that if anyone tried to lay a hand on her or her family, she'd have them dragged straight to jail. She went on to say, "I never mentioned you, sweetie. I only expressed concern over that disturbing video of my grandson. As a grandmother, I can press charges. That was inappropriate, and I'm fully within my rights to do so. And don't forget, you're all on probation, so I'm ready for anything. I'm not playing games here, and I can bring the consequences if you keep testing me." Cron had stayed quiet through all the chaos, and many people assumed it was because she and Karlissa didn't get along, and she just wanted to avoid more drama. But that all changed recently at Blue's birthday party. It was there that Cron finally spoke up, making it crystal clear that if Karlissa didn't stop running her mouth about her and her family, she was going to smack some sense into her. Karlissa, as usual, took to Instagram Live, airing everyone's business for the world to see. From what we could tell, there was already some underlying tension between her and Cron. Cron had chosen to sit on the other side of the room with Blue's dad, while Karlissa mingled with the rest of the crowd. It almost looked like Cron was intentionally keeping her distance, trying to avoid any unnecessary drama. But even that wasn't enough to keep things from boiling over. As the party continued, Sean went live too and made it clear that she was fed up with Karlissa trying to stir up trouble. She didn't hold back, saying straight up, "I'm not with all this mess. You know how we roll, and I don't like the way you're trying to start drama with me." The tension was palpable, and it was obvious that the party wasn't going to be a peaceful one. I'm saying, I don't know what's going on here. The boys need to be boys, and everyone's gathered. They all know what's up. But honestly, I don't even want to turn the camera on because that feels so petty. I'm just here trying to eat, trying to chill. But yeah, I'm here. I can't even speak my mind because I don't want to stir up mess. I'm not messy anymore. But today, I'm just here in this restaurant with Pops. Everyone else is on the other side, celebrating. It's all happy birthday, but it's also giving off some weird vibes. The moment that threw me off was when she pulled out the camera and started recording us. Like, I get it, we're family, but if you're just here to support, keep it moving, right? Don't be acting shady, trying to get all in our business. After the party, Karlissa saw Cron's live, and of course she had something to say. She couldn't understand why Cron got so worked up and started dragging her. According to Karlissa, she didn't even know Cron was mad. She also claimed that after the live ended, Cron stomped her right in the face. The drama was far from over, and things were only getting messier. Karlissa wasted no time, saying she would be reaching out to the police as soon as possible. She was ready to let them know that Cron, who is supposedly on probation and claims to be a born-again Christian, had stomped her in the face. "I'm so disappointed in this whole situation," she said. "You've got the audacity to post all that online, but you can go ahead and tag me in it. I didn't feel any of that negative energy at the time." She continued, making it clear that she never once blamed the atmosphere at the party on herself. "I said the environment was because of God, but clearly there was no child of God in that room. Let's just lay it all out today and leave it at that." The chaos around her. The energy at that party wasn't right. It was uncomfortable, and it was hard for her to engage with people who weren't genuine. Cron wanted to show up for Blue's birthday, but the situation kept pulling her into unnecessary drama, and she didn't want to play into that. But when you're surrounded by people with their own motives, it's hard to just let things slide. It felt like the entire event had turned into a spectacle, with too many people waiting for something to go wrong so they could make a story out of it. Cron's frustration was real. She wanted to show up and celebrate, but it was hard when everything felt so inauthentic. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that she couldn't approach the situation with the same open arms she usually would. This wasn't about reconciliation or mending broken relationships. It was about protecting herself and her peace in an environment that felt hostile. Sometimes you have to put up walls to protect your sanity, and Cron was learning that lesson the hard way. She was realizing that she couldn't just give people the benefit of the doubt when their actions didn't match their words. What made the situation even more complicated was the presence of so many people. Everyone had their phones out, filming everything, trying to capture any moment that might make for a juicy story. This only intensified the tension. There was no privacy, no room to breathe, and no opportunity to have a real conversation without it being turned into a public spectacle. Cron knew this all too well. It wasn't just about the people at the party. It was about the eyes of the world that were watching from behind the screens. And when you're dealing with family drama that's being broadcasted for everyone to see, it's hard to know who's really on your side. Cron's sense of unease grew as she reflected on the situation. She wanted to walk into the birthday celebration with an open heart, ready to embrace the moment and enjoy the time with Blue and their family. But she couldn't ignore the underlying tension that kept creeping up. She couldn't forget the way Karlissa had been stirring the pot, trying to make herself the center of attention even in a setting that should have been about celebrating Blue. It wasn't lost on Cron that, at the core of it all, Karlissa had been trying to play both sides, pretending to be friendly while simultaneously undermining her. That, more than anything, seemed to be what got under Cron's skin. When you're in a situation like that, it's hard to know who to trust. People's true intentions are often hidden beneath layers of manipulation, and the more Cron thought about it, the more she realized that she couldn't just blindly trust the people around her. The world of social media, the constant public scrutiny, and the thirst for attention had created an environment where people weren't always honest. It was difficult to tell who was genuinely there for her and who was just there for the drama. That's the problem when you're constantly surrounded by people trying to chase clout. You never really know who has your back. In the end, Cron's decision to go live wasn't just about responding to Karlissa. It was about setting boundaries. It was about standing up for herself and her family in a situation that was starting to feel toxic. It was a reminder that sometimes the best way to handle drama is not to engage with it at all. You don't always have to respond immediately or in the way people expect you to. Sometimes, taking a step back and assessing the situation from a distance is the wisest move. Cron was learning that the hard way. Not every situation required her to jump in head first. Sometimes, keeping your distance and preserving your peace is the most powerful powerful thing you can do. They're supposed to be family, but it's like you cross too many lines. You play too much on the internet, and it's clear that you're not really my friend or my family. You say you love your son, but I don't see that. It's not love, it's all about clout. You want attention, and I'm over here, just trying to keep it real. Y'all look out of place, like you don't belong, and I'm not going to fight with you over that. But I'm here, enjoying myself. Even if you're my enemies, come and take a plate. The food's good, and I'm just here to enjoy. It's all good. If you want to say hi, fine, but why are you doing all this extra stuff? You're doing too much. Do you really think your son wants you around the grandkids while you're out here trolling online, throwing shade and bashing people at any given chance? It doesn't even matter what it looks like or sounds like. Bro, nobody really likes you like that lady. You know, the whole thing at the restaurant was just messy. But honestly, it was mostly because of the grandmother. She's messy, and she knows it. I'm positive about that, but I try to stay positive and avoid talking about anyone. There's just a lot going on. And of course, everyone has their own opinions. Like this one person who said, "Why are you worried about all this? Why isn't your son walking yet? Maybe you should focus on your child's health instead." I thought she found Jesus, but that's a whole different topic. I'm praying for the son you chose, but you chose liquor, Satan's spinach, and a broken shell of a man. You didn't choose your child. You didn't choose yourself. You've chosen every addiction and temptation without thinking about the damage. This was a full-on read, with all the receipts and a moral lesson that had everyone leaning in like, hold up, is somebody finally going to say it? And say it, she did. Loud, clear, and without that fake sympathy folks love to put around Cron when they're too scared to call her out. What we're not going to do is pretend like she hasn't been acting out, especially when there's a baby involved. We're not talking about Blueface's bruised ego here. This is way deeper. We're talking about a literal child with alleged medical issues and developmental delays, while the mother seems more focused on Twitch check-ins than getting proper pediatric care. When Money said what she said, it hit different because it's clear Cron has been busy lately, but not in the way she should be. Instead of being a full-time mom, she's out here trying to rebrand herself as a devoted woman of God on Sundays and a goofy Twitch streamer Monday through Saturday. She's holed up in her studio apartment turned prayer closet, begging fans not to judge her and asking for prayers. Meanwhile, the internet has already done 2 novenas and held a full-on gospel concert trying to help her realize she needs to get it together. While the rest of us have been side-eyeing her for not taking her child's health seriously, Cron's been laughing it off like it's some kind of joke. People have been flooding the comments, begging her to get the child seen, diagnosed, and protected. There are viral videos showing the baby barely reacting to his surroundings, moving stiffly, looking vacant. He's not cooing, not crawling, not even blinking right. How is this not raising alarms? And this is why people are so frustrated. Money Slaughter was the wake-up call everyone needed. If you know anything about her, you know she's no stranger to her own drama, but she's never shied away from telling it like it is, especially when it comes to kids. So when she spoke up and basically said, "Enough is enough," you knew she was dead serious. Money didn't come to throw shade, she came with clarity and conviction. She laid it all out. This child isn't getting the care he deserves, while Cayenne's out here playing dress-up in Jesus costumes, and her baby might, allegedly, be dealing with a neurological disorder without even seeing a doctor. The lies, the denial, the distractions. Money pointed them all out as a smokescreen for one thing: neglect. She didn't yell, didn't act a fool, didn't do the typical reality TV thing. She simply told the truth, calm, direct. And what made it hit even harder was that Money wasn't coming from a place of hate. She came from a place of, girl, I've been through this and this is not the way. And baby, that's the moment. That had the whole internet doing a spiritual double take. It's wild how you can be front and center at church, sobbing like Mary Magdalene in HD, and then hop on Twitch 2 seconds later talking about how you're still in love with Blueface. Pick a side, sis! Allegedly, Kian's given her life to God, sliding through church services like she's a part of the praise team, crying in her little tight dress, acting like the Holy Spirit's on cue. She's out here preaching about how she's a changed woman, saying, "Don't judge me, pray for me." But then, just 2 streams later, she's on Twitch, boldly saying that she still loves Blueface, would take him back in a heartbeat, and even wants to tattoo his name on her face like it's 2022 all over again. Sis, what part of Corinthians says, "Thou shalt retate the same man who disowned thy child"? You can't be shouting Jesus is king on Sunday and then running back to Pharaoh the minute the organ stops playing. Not when he's dragged you, disrespected you, and called your baby everything but his. It's like trying to blend Bible study with Bad Girls Club and calling it deliverance.